Look who it is. What's up, guys? Max here. My apologies for the extended absence on YouTube. Short 20-second version. My job was going crazy with like 80 hours a week at work. I recently got promoted about a month and a half ago, so now I'm back down to 45 hours a week. And now I've got time for the tube. So Path of Exile 2 just came out, and just played the first act. And this video is going to have some tips and tricks for maybe some veterans, but mostly beginners on the nuances of the game and how to navigate it a little easier so you don't get confused and lost. There is a little bit of spoilers. I'm going to showcase a few different areas of the game. Nothing beyond Act 1 because I haven't gone into Act 2 yet. So a few Act 1 spoilers with some NPCs that kind of show up, things like that. But other than that, it's mostly spoiler free. Let's get into it. All right, so the first tip we're going to go over is how to change between the movement with your mouse or with the WASD. We're going to go to Options, press Escape, go to Options. And the fifth tab over, the input, it's the first option right here, and you can change it from mouse to WASD. You're only able to change this in the character select screen, okay? It gives you the option right when you hit the beach at the beginning, but once you choose that option, the only way to change it after that is to go into the character select screen, top left-hand corner, that way, and change it there, right? I also did some additional characters to kind of save my names and things like that. And every time I did that and I logged into the character and then I came back to this one, it auto reset back to mouse movement. So I think that's what this might be, this option here. So just be wary of that. If you get stuck on the mouse movement or vice versa, just log out to the character select screen and change it there. A couple different bonus ones here on input. I don't know how many times I've done it, but every time I hit T, I'm expecting a portal to open because of other ARPGs. So if you want to come down here and set up your create portal, it's not set up yet to any key you want. You can do that instead of clicking it down here. Next, we're going to talk about how to understand some of the wording in this game. There is a lot of different abilities and skills and descriptions, and it can be a little overwhelming. So let's take, for example, this skill gem called Bone Shatter. It's one of the early ones for Warrior. While I'm hovering over this, I can read attacks enemies with a melee strike. The strike will cause a heavy stun on enemies that are primed for stun. We see under strike and heavy stun and prime for stun, it has a bunch of dots like it's underlined. If I move my mouse off this gem to try to like scroll up to that, I can't, right? But if I hold down the Alt key, it locks the window in place, and now I can move my mouse freely and hover over strike, and it will tell me what strike means, the definition of strike in this game, or what heavy stun means, or what primed for stun means. So if you're a caster, melee, or anything in between, and you're looking at an ability or an item and you're like, what the heck does that mean? Just hold Alt down and then you can hover over it and it'll kind of explain it a little better for you. Next, we're going to talk about how to refund your passives on your skill tree and also how to identify items for free, okay? So you want to talk to the hooded one and you unlock this NPC about the second or third area in Act 1 after doing a few quests. And you talk to him and you have identify items here on the right hand side and refund passives, okay? We're going to do refund passives first, and this opens up the skill tree and it will show all the skills that you've already spent, and if we hover over any of them, it will show how much gold we need to spend to refund that passive talent so we can spend it somewhere else. Now notice that when I'm clicking on any of these, nothing happens, and that's because this is in the middle of the branch, right? We need to go to the end of the branch because if I were to turn this one off, these two aren't connected to another area, so they wouldn't work. So the game prevents you from doing that. So if I click here, it brings up the option on the bottom and it shows me how much gold I have and how much gold I will end up having at the end if I were to apply. Now I don't want to apply just yet because this is not the only one I want to refund. So I can start clicking and start taking back some of these talents. And now I've taken about 4 or 5 of them here, and my gold has increased, or excuse me, decreased down to 5,400 because I took away more points. But I don't want to apply these refunds just yet either, because now I have a bunch of passive skills that I can spend right now. So I can just come in here and just spend them here. So I don't have to refund them all and then pause and then spend them somewhere else. I could refund and spend them at the same time, right? So a little more efficient there. So just keep that in mind. That's how you refund your skills. And then if you talk to the hooded one again, in my inventory, I have 3 chess pieces that I have not identified yet. And if I just hit identify items, it says over here, 3 items identified. and they're all identified now. So you don't have to waste your scrolls of wisdom. So you can keep those while you're out in the field. If you find something on the ground, you want to identify it, you don't like it, you can toss it back on the ground kind of thing. So just keep that in mind. Moving on to a tip on how to make a little bit of extra gold early on in the game by selling white items off the trash mobs. All of the pricing on these items is not created equal, okay? So I've seen chess pieces that take up 6 slots in your inventory that sell for 10 gold, or, you know, boots or helms or gloves that sell for 10 or 15, right? You want to pay attention to the wands. They sell pretty well, and they only take up 3 spots. And the skinny staves, they take up 4 spots. Though the big ones that take up 6 or 8 or whatever, they are not as profitable as the skinny ones. So look for the skinny staffs, the wands, and then most importantly, the best one that I found are the belts. The belts sell for 88 gold, okay? And they only take up 2 spots in your inventory. So keep an eye out for those. If you're out in the field and you see a big giant two-handed bow and a belt drop, pick up the belt, because you're going to probably get 4 times as much gold from that. So eventually, over time, you'll start to ignore these bases, these white item bases, unless you're trying to craft. But at the beginning of the game, when you're trying to get a little bit of gold and spend some money on the respecs and things like that, look out for these 2 different types of items. On the subject of those white base armors, sometimes when you're out in the field killing monsters, you'll find them with sockets. This bow right here has 1 socket, and this chest piece has 2 sockets. Now, a tip on how to figure out if an item on the ground has a socket or not is it has a dot next to the name at the end. This one has 1 dot, this one has 2 dots, and that means that it has 2 sockets and 1 socket. You can even hover over the item while it's on the ground and it will tell you. You just loot those, and then sometimes you will find these runes that you can plug into armor or weapons, and it will give you different effects. And you can see in this chest piece here, I put one in there, 12% to cold resist. You can hover over the rune that's socketed in there, and it will give you a breakdown of what it was. Now, one thing to keep in mind is when I plug this rune into an item, if I want to take the rune out, I can, but it will destroy the rune in the process. It won't destroy the item, but the rune itself will be destroyed. So once you put it in there, it's in there until you want to replace it with something else, but you can't get it back. Let's switch gears for a second and talk about the map, okay? So the default to open up the map is the U key, or you can click on a waypoint. Now this will kind of show you the act. In the top left-hand corner, it has like a little legend. You can hover your mouse over and it will tell you what these different icons are. Now there's some underground caves or houses that have waypoints in them, and you might wonder, why aren't they on this map? Now on the right-hand side, you can click this little up and down arrow and it will take you to the subterranean or inside areas that have waypoints and things like that. So just keep that in mind. Waypoints are the blue circles. The yellow golden cave entrances will indicate like a cave or a house or something like that. While you are fighting through these maps, the creatures will respawn if you die, and the boss's health will return to full life or full health after a death during a boss fight. So keep that in mind. And then lastly, let's say the first area after the town, the clear fell. Let's say I cleared the whole area and I was like, you know what? I didn't really get anything good or not enough experience. I want to do this area again. If you hold down Control and then click the area, it will open up a few options here. One is, this is the area that I was in when I cleared it. So I can click on this and it will teleport me to that waypoint in that area. Or if I click New, it will teleport me to that area as a fresh map, right? So I don't have anything explored. All the monsters are back. And if I hold Control and click on the waypoint again, I can do another new one, right? And so you can kind of repeat the same areas if you want, in case you get stuck in an area where the monsters are too hard. You want to go back and clear some things, but you don't want to sit 15 minutes waiting for the instance reset. Just hold down Control, click on that area, and it will give you an option to enter a new one. The next tip I have for you is about skill gems. So as you're going through Act 1, you'll find different levels, 1, 2, 3, and 4. For example, let's do support gems. So if I right click on this, it'll bring up the menu for the support gems. And let's say I want to use this on Molten Blast, right? And I want to choose acceleration. I click on it, I engrave it, and it pops it into my Molten Blast, right? Now when I open up my gem inventory with the G hotkey, I can move my support gems around. They're not locked to that gem, okay? But just keep in mind that not every support gem can support every single skill, okay? So there might be a support gem that increases damage to fire, and if I hook it up to a support gem that doesn't do any fire damage, you're kind of wasting it, right? So make sure you read the support gems. The game so far has been pretty good about having, I have 3 different types of melee attacks and 3 different types of fire attacks, and I can kind of move them around, or it might increase or shorten durations or things like that. But a lot of people I see in the global chat, they're like, holy cow, I didn't know I could move my support gems around like that. You can, okay? So keep that in mind. And then as far as the regular skill gems, if I right click on this level 4, I can use this on anything level 4 and below. Now, shield charge over here on the left-hand side, it's a level 3 ability. So if I use this level 4 skill gem on a level 3 ability, it will learn the ability and set it at level 4. Up here at this level 2 earthquake, if I use this, it will leapfrog level 3 to 4. I don't have to find another skill gem that's level 3 to move a 2 to a 3 and then a 4 to move a 3 to a 4 kind of thing. It's just whatever the level that skill gem is, it boosts it to that level. So keep that in mind. I made the mistake of learning Shockwave Totem. I used a level 3 skill gem and I was like, oh, cool. And then I used a level 4 skill gem to bump it up a level, and I essentially just wasted the level 3 skill gem. So keep that in mind when you're figuring out what spells and skills you want to learn. The next tip I have for you is talking about how to identify if a creature is primed for a Culling Strike or something like that. Culling Strike in Path of Exile is essentially when a monster is around 20-25% or a certain amount of health is close to death. If you use something, it will proc something extra or will do extra damage, or it'll finish the target off. So one of my abilities is called Bone Shatter, and if I hit the creature with it, it just does some damage. But if I hit the creature when it's low, it will actually do like a shockwave, right? So let's bring him down a little bit. See this little white flame above the monster's head? That means that if I were to use my ability, I will get the extra attack. So if I Bone Shatter him, it does like a circle ability. See that? But if I go to somebody else and just use it right here, it's not doing the circle ability, right? But if I bring him down a little bit, see the little white circle above him again, I hit him with it, and he does the AoE ability, and it hits the other creatures, right? So casters, melee, and everything in between will have different skills, and that's what that white flame above the creature's head is. If you have a skill on your hotbar that will benefit from that, that's a little indicator to tell you. So you don't have to hover over the monster's health to see is it ready to go or whatever. Just a little indicator there to help you out. The last tip we're going to talk about is microtransactions. And no, I'm not sponsored by Grinding Gear Game. I promise I don't know who the hell I am. But if you're new to Path of Exile and you're having a lot of fun with the game, you're like, you know what, I feel like spending a little money on it, and you're not sure where to get your best value, your best bang for your buck, this is the best tip I have for you. So we're going to go hit escape and go to microtransaction shop. On the left-hand side, we're going to go to the shop, and then we're going to go to stash tabs, okay? And I feel that probably every Path of Exile player will agree with this. Stash tabs are the best thing that you can buy in this game, okay? The game is free to play unless you had to pay for early access. But if you're watching this later, the game's free to play. If you want to spend money on it, spend it here, okay? More specifically, the currency stash tab, okay? Let me show you what this looks like. So when I open up my stash, I have a currency stash tab here, and it organizes all the currency that I find for me, okay? So I don't have to go through my bags. Oh, did I leave these transmutation orbs here? Did I put my regal orbs over here? It's all here organized nice and neat. Now, if I right-click on the tab and click this affinity box right here to make sure that it is checked. Now, let's take my exalts, let's take my regals, and let's take these shards, right? Let's say I was out exploring and I found all this money, and I come back to my stash tab and I'm dumping my chest pieces in here, my weapons and things like that, and I hold down control to click on the item to throw it into my bag. Notice how I click on all these, but they're not showing up. That's because I use that affinity option here and it funneled them into my currency bag. So it puts all of your currency into one spot. It's nice and organized. And the best thing about this, and this is a shot at Diablo 4 because that game sucks, is that you can have as many stash tabs as you want. These are all the stash tabs that come with the game here. Notice how I've just threw a bunch of items in here. But these are the ones that I've paid for in the past because they came from Path of Exile 1, and you can right click and name them. Like I have all the blues that I found that I want to maybe check out later. I found all the yellows that I want to check out later. I have stash tabs for any of the essences that I find out in the world, the delirium items, flasks, skill gems. There is basically stash tabs for almost everything in this game because there is a lot of stuff that drops and it can get overwhelming really quickly. So I recommend if you're going to spend, 10, 20, 40, 50 bucks on this game, buy stash tabs, okay? Take your time. You don't got to get them all at once, but the currency stash tab and a few extra ones will go a long way and make your life considerably easier. That's all the tips I have for this video. It could keep going, but I don't want to make the video an hour long. It feels great to be back on YouTube. Thanks again for the support. I apologize again if there's any technical difficulties. I built a new PC and a new setup and just kind of getting back into the groove of everything. Really excited to play Path of Exile 2. If you feel like I deserve it, hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel for more Path of Exile content, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.